All right, this went along party lines right now. A crackdown on the part of Democratic members of the Senate Judiciary Committee to say, the free trip thing and not reporting on it thing, with a host of, Supreme Court justices, it's not going to fly. So we're going to come up with an ethics bill there. Senator John Kennedy joining other Republicans to say that that was not the answer or the solution. Kind enough to join us. Senator, good to see you.
You too, Neil.
This ethics bill, the Democrats were saying it would just hold Supreme Court justices to the same ethics standards that I suppose you have in the Senate and the House supposedly has there. What do you make of that?
I voted against the bill for a number of reasons. Some of the proponents of the bill have said that the Supreme Court needs a code of conduct. That's not accurate. The Supreme Court has a code of conduct. You can go to uscourts.gov and read it. The Supreme Court amended it last spring, and it is talking about amending it again. Number two, I think the legislation brought by Senator Whitehouse is unconstitutional under Article 3 in our separation of powers doctrine. If you read cases like U.S. v. Klein, U.S. v. Nixon, Buckley v. Vallejo, Collins v. Yellen, I don't think that the Congress has the power to write a code of ethics for the Supreme Court any more than the Supreme Court has the right to write a code of ethics for Congress.
So the Supreme Court should police itself and its own behavior. That's what you're saying. What if it doesn't, though? I mean, the same could be said, and you're quite right, about if the House doesn't do that or the Senate doesn't do that, then who does do that? But what do you think?
Well, you ask what if they don't? They are. They are policing themselves. They have a code of conduct. Now, some of my colleagues
will that code of conduct change?
Like.
Will that code of conduct change the way some trips were not reported or gifts were not shared or publicized? I mean, do you know that? Not that it would matter if you could say, like to your point, that you can't do that with another branch of government.
Well, it already has changed. It was changed last spring. Now, if you accept food or expensive lodging or a private airplane trip, you have to disclose that. So it has changed.
So with those disclosures, especially concerning Justice Thomas and a couple of others that go before, I guess, some of these revamped procedures, what happens then to justices who might violate that in the future? Does the Supreme Court have the power to say you have to go?
I don't know the answer to that. I just believe that under the separation of powers doctrine, Congress can't regulate the internal affairs of the court. And I also believe, Neil, that, how can I put this? Sometimes Congress is like high school, except no one graduates. There are members of Congress that if you do something they don't like, they will try to hurt you. And I'm not saying this is true of all of my colleagues, but I believe that for many of my colleagues, this legislation is not about ethics. It's about the Dobbs case and abortion and Biden v. Nebraska and student debt, and it's about no racial quotas and admissions. I think that some of my colleagues are angry at the Supreme Court and they want to hurt this court. That's why, if they could, they would expand the court. So when they can't do that, so instead they're going to try to destroy it from within. That's my opinion.
Understood. Do you personally, though, Senator, have any issue with some of the things we've heard from a couple of justices who did get very expensive trips and very nice gifts? I mean, does that personally offend you in any way?
Well, I've read the Code of Conduct, and I think it's a good Code of Conduct. And you're supposed to disclose an expensive trip. Sometimes justices haven't done that.
Okay.
When it's been called to their attention. They have filed amended disclosures. We're supposed to disclose that sort of thing as members of Congress.
True.
I do it But if I forget something, as I have a number of times, I file an amended disclosure report. That happens all the time. But if you're asking me, do I think they're members of the United States Supreme Court who are bought or could be bought with a vacation? The short answer is no, and the long answer is hell no, in my opinion.
Got it. All right. Senator, very good catching up with you. Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana, Senate Judiciary Committee, Federal Courts Subcommittee ranking member, among others. Thank you.